Hey everybody, welcome back to another Dark Park Film Reviews. And I'm John Ward. And today we are looking at video 2 for 31 horror remakes, sequels, and ripoffs for Halloween that offer a fresh twist. And just in case you did not tune into the first video, these are films from my personal collection. These are remakes, sequels, rip-offs that I really enjoy, that I really like. And I'm trying to pick movies that are not part of the norm. So they wouldn't be, like I'd mentioned in the other video, the original Halloween or the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre or other films that you would typically see in people's list of films to watch during October or Christmas. Or that's a whole other video that's coming during Halloween. So like October or Halloween. The idea of this is there's 31 movies, when you total them up on each video. And then that way you can either just do a marathon for the rest of this month or next year, just watch each one of these, every single day until you hit Halloween. And then you have a movie a day. So I have a whole new set of films. So the first video was 16. These are 15, so 31. And they're a combination of Blu-ray and DVD. So we're going to start with the Blu-ray first, just like we did last time. And then the very last video in here, I'm sorry, I did this on purpose, and I feel because I mentioned it in the last video, I'm putting it in, and you'll know what it is when we get to it. So it's I don't care. I'm adding it to the list of movies that you should watch, and you'll see and probably know what I mean when we get to it. But our first one, which is a Blu-ray, is a film that excuse me, that I originally had a bootleg of. So way, way back in the day, when VHS was all the rage, I got bootlegs of Dawn of the Dead, which was the longer cut. Also got a bootleg of this movie called The Evil Dead. Never heard of it before. And also got a bootleg for a movie called Piranha 2: The Spawning. Never heard of any of these directors, except for George Romero, but never heard of this Sam Raimi guy, never heard of this James Cameron guy, never heard of this lead actor, Lance Hendrickson, who's Bruce Campbell. Didn't hear of any of these people. Well, of course, years later, as we know. So the very first one here that I am recommending for people to watch is Piranha 2: The Spawning. And this is James Cameron's first film. The nice thing is that he has never abandoned this movie. There's even what is it? What film is it? I'm blanking what movie it is on his, but there's a special feature, and there's a video of them celebrating, like the cast of crew celebrating his birthday, and he cuts into a cake, and he jokingly says, well, I hope a flying piranha doesn't come out of this, because there is somebody cutting a birthday cake and a flying piranha comes out of it. So he's never veered away from this film, which I love. And I really like this. And it's not, it's not Piranha. It's not, Joe Dante's Piranha, but it's pretty good. And it's where he met Lance Hendrickson. I like the idea that the piranhas fly. And it's Italian. He basically got this because some producers went to Roger Corman and they saw James Cameron on set for Galaxy of Terror, and he needed to get some like maggots to move on a fake arm, and they weren't moving. So he electrocuted the arm, which means he electrocuted the maggots and they moved. And the producers were so impressed by that they said, hey, if that guy can, get maggots to move, he could direct, a piranha movie, a flying piranha movie. So there are two versions of this movie. There is a producer's cut, and then there's James Cameron's cut. I own the DVD of it also. This is the Scream Factory version, but I'm not sure which is which. It's a shame that even though Cameron doesn't disown this, but he doesn't do really interviews or commentaries or anything like that on here, which is a shame. But I mean, they put right here, directed by James Cameron. So this is really good. I liked it, and you should check it out, especially if you're interested in early James Cameron, because right after this is he did the Terminator, so which is its own horror movie, you know, in a way. So the next one I picked because it's a good film, and there is a, I don't really even know if you could call it a remake or but a new version of Nosferatu coming out, and which I will definitely see. And I love the original black and white silent movie. I love how they keep, kind of like Metropolis, they keep finding more and more pieces of these movies and sticking them together to where each time it's like the most complete version, and they find more, then that's the most complete version. So I'm a huge Werner Herzog fan. I love him as a director, and I love him even more as an actor. He's the main villain in Jack Reacher, the Tom Cruise one, and I love that. He's just got that great German voice. And so I recommend, because I'm going to be rewatching this, his version of Nosferatu with Klaus Kinski. There is a sequel to this, which I have not seen. I own it, called Nosferatu in Venice. I've heard it's pretty bad. But this would be a remake of the original Nosferatu. This is Nosferatu the Vampire, while I believe the original is Nosferatu, A Symphony of Terror, I think is what the subtitle is. I'm not sure what the new one is. But yeah, this is interesting. And of course, we all know, you know, Klaus Kinski and his, you know, his temper and everything. So when was this? 1979. This is also Scream Factory brought this out. So I'm going to be watching this, you know, before I go see the new one. Nice thing about Scream Factory is they always do the double inside, so you can, you know, you can flip it. They also did it with probably Piranha too. Yeah. So it's got like the original poster, and then it's got like a different poster inside. So that's really cool. So remake of Nosferatu. Now we get into ripoff territory. This is a ripoff of Jaws. No, this is, yeah, well, the original movie is a ripoff on Jaws, and then this is a sequel to that ripoff. And the ripoff is Grizzly. This is the sequel to that. Grizzly 2 Revenge. I am recommending this because, as it says here, it was 37 years in the making. What had happened was they had shot this, a bunch of footage, and then just ran out of money, and the film never, you know, was finished. It is technically, I guess, the first film for Charlie Sheen, George Clooney, and Laura Dern, and they're all in the same scene together. They get killed by the bear. This goes under a couple different titles, like Grizzly 2, I think it's The Concert. I have a work print version of this, like a burn of the work print. And in some cases, it's like a guy in like a grizzly suit. In some cases, it's like a little stuffed bear that they're using. And it's pretty amazing. What they did with this is they tried to finish it. So, you know, 37 years later, they went and shot new footage and put in stock footage of the forest and things to finish this film, to make it complete, to make it releasable. I wish, if it was possible, if they would have added in the work print of this. But it is quite an amazing film. I don't like this as much as the work print, but it's still interesting to watch. Yeah, The Concert is, let's see if it's, Yeah, it doesn't talk about anywhere on the back here. 74 minutes. It's not rated. But yeah, it doesn't talk anywhere about. It's basically a concert that's out in the woods that's going to last 3 days. It's like a Woodstock concert, but in the woods, and this bear is going around killing everybody. The original is oh god, yeah, Louise Fletcher is in this too. John Rhys Davies, he's the Quint character because it's still a ripoff. But yeah, they're just having this concert, and the Grizzlies going around killing everybody. So I recommend this just on in more of just kind of a fascinating type of film. So, if you could find it maybe on Tubi, or you could find it maybe on YouTube, especially if you could find that work print. But I think it's worth watching because of the actors that are in it, and just like I said, the history of the film itself. So, Grizzly 2, The Revenge, or Grizzly 2, The Concert. It might have other titles too. Now we come up on not the newest, but the second newest Hellraiser movie. So I really enjoyed the new Hellraiser, the one that came out on Hulu. I really wish that they would do a physical copy of that, but I'll track it down just like I've done other stuff. And what I liked about the new one is, if you've read the book, The Hellbound Heart, Pinhead is never called Pinhead. We gave that title to Pinhead in a way, like Ghostface was never Ghostface. It wasn't until it was said in the movie, ooh, hello, Mr. Ghostface. Then it became Ghostface. In the book, it's just, or the short story, The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker, it's a Cenobite. And it's not even like a leader of the Cenobites. He's just one, or it is just one of the Cenobites. Clive Barker says that it is neither male nor female. So I do like in the new movie, I believe the actor / actress who played Pinhead is either like trans or non-binary or something like that. So for me, I enjoyed that because, like I mentioned in the other video, it follows the story a little bit closer in what the character is. Now, Hellraiser Judgment, which does not have, Doug Bradley in it, it is a different Pinhead. Paul T. Taylor is Pinhead. Heather Langenkamp is in this too. That's right. I forgot about that. And I really enjoyed this one. So we got a whole bunch of, I would say, after Hellraiser 4, which is Hellraiser Bloodline, which they really should release 2 versions of that. They should, one of these niche companies should, or niche companies, however you say it, should pick up Hellraiser 4 and release the 2 different versions of it. That to me is the last good Hellraiser movie. Then we had like a bunch of bad sequels, and then we got Hellraiser Judgment. I'm guessing I heard it was money. I heard it was disagreements. I mean, there was a whole bunch of reasons of why Doug Bradley was not in this one. But I think that the guy who played Pinhead actually did a pretty good job. And if they wanted to continue the franchise with him, I would have been perfectly fine. But I was okay with the Hellraiser that came before this, which is the one that nobody liked, that was like found footage, and nobody liked that Pinhead. And I'm blanking on, was it Hellraiser? Oh crap, I'm blanking on the name of the subtitle. But you guys know the one that I'm talking about. I kind of liked it. And I didn't mind the guy who played Pinhead because, kind of like I mentioned in the Candyman segment in the last video, where there's many Candy Man or men, in that Hellraiser world, there are many of that Pinhead. Like he may not even be called Pinhead, but there's many of that version. And so you could have the Doug Bradley one, you could have this other guy that nobody liked, then you could have the guy that he creates. So I didn't mind that. I actually kind of liked the last one, the found footage one. I didn't mind it. But this one is very good. And I thought that they were back on the right track. It's got its slipcase, which is nice. And so I was hoping for more. And then the actor just who played Pinhead just kind of faded away. I don't know if he's taking on other parts. I was friends with him on Facebook, and then my Facebook account got deleted. So I'll have to refriend him to see what's going on with him. But one thing that I like that a person who's in this is John Gulager, who directed one of my favorite Children of the Corn movies, Runaway, Children of the Corn, Runaway. I like him as a director. I like these little parts that he plays. Of course, his dad is Clue, Clue Gulager. And so I like him. So I like that he's got a little bit part in this. So this is worth it. So if you're kind of tired of Hellraiser, 1 through 4, and then you don't want to deal with the crappy sequels, and I own them all, then check Judgment out. It's definitely worth it. It's an interesting, almost kind of cyberpunk. Well, I don't know if cyberpunk is really. I guess it's kind of cyberpunk in a way. Yeah, I'll call it cyberpunk maybe. So yeah, I think you should check it out. Okay, so this falls into the the requel, the sequel requel type of thing. And I really enjoyed this. I'm a big fan of the original. I had doubts when this originally came out, watched it and really enjoyed it. So I love The Town That Dreaded Sundown, the original. I like that filmmaker a lot. He also did The Legend of Boggy Creek, which scared the crap out of me as a kid. Even the original Town That Dreaded Sundown scared me when the killer was at the window kind of shooting people. It kind of freaked me out as a kid because I'd look up at the window and maybe somebody was standing there. There never was, but it still kind of freaked me out. So this is like a sequel, requel type of thing. They didn't change the title. So this is The Town That Dreaded Sundown. It is a sequel, but it's also a remake. And I enjoyed this quite a bit. I liked that it's like the anniversary. Every year, the town in Texas plays the original movie, and now there's murders that are taking place. And the guy looks just like, the original killer. And there's an investigation, and I think they're shooting like if I remember correctly, I haven't seen this in a while. I think that they're either doing an investigation or they're doing like a documentary or something on the whole thing. And I just really enjoyed this. So if you're looking for something that's, and of course there's footage from the original movie and stuff in here. So if you're looking for like a kind of, sequel reboot, because I don't know if they could have made another one after this. Because it's good not to know who the killer is. I think in this, they may say that it's the killer's son that took over, maybe. God, I haven't seen it in a long time. But this is definitely worth checking out. Even if you haven't seen the original, this is a lot of the same, but different. So definitely check this out. And I think, yeah, it's got some good people in it. Anthony Anderson, Gary Cole, Veronica Cartwright. So it's another one of these that where they got good people, and I got to look up maybe like what else has the director done. A lot of these guys do these movies that are really cool and they're well made, and then you just never hear of them again. So I don't know. I'll have to look them up at some point. Okay, so this one, a lot of people did not like the first one, and I don't think they definitely liked the second one. I enjoyed the first one because it kind of deals with plays, and I like plays and musicals. Hence, I might be the only person out there who liked Joker 2 to a degree. And I liked its sequel a lot. Do I like it more than the first one? Maybe. Maybe. But it's got a great slipcover, a really nice slipcover on it. So that would be The Gallows Act 2. And I like it that it says Act 2 and not Part 2, because the play is being Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. So I like that there's that attention to detail. This has got a really nice, it's like this nice, like thick paper slipcover on it. And it's just got, it's good front too. And it's got a nice back here. So I enjoyed this. And it does have, at least, if I remember correctly, one person from the original. I think it's might be the lead actress from the first one, comes back in here. She has a cameo. And I think both of these movies got a bad rap. I really would have liked them to do an Act 3. I think it would have been great if they did the play format of Acts 1, 2, and 3, and then called it a day. But I guess this just didn't do well. I think Gallows did well, but it wasn't well received. And then they made this, and it didn't do anything. But I enjoyed it. I think it's a good sequel that deserved another part. It deserved a third act. So, and I think if I remember correctly, the first one is found footage. I don't think this one is, though. I think this is like a regular film. It's a little bent down there. That sucks. Okay, now we're back in zombie territory. I had a zombie one in the first one. Gotta have a zombie one in this one. And so I had talked about in the last one the remake, Night of the Living Dead 3D. So I have a huge zombie collection. At least a quarter of that is all Night of the Living Dead-esque films. A lot of them, well, some of them are made by the guys who made Night of the Living Dead. Because Night of the Living Dead didn't have a copyright on it, nobody made money. So they all kind of went off, sometimes together, sometimes by themselves, and made their own zombie movies. So you had like, Romero and Savini teamed up to do the remake of Night of the Living Dead so they can make money. Then you had some of the other guys went off to do Children of Living Dead, which was freaking awful. There's Return of the Living Dead, and then that had all of its sequels. But one of my favorite ones, and it does have the title of Revenge of the Living Dead, but I think most people know it as Flesh Eater. So this is a sequel to the original Night of the Living Dead. It's got, it's William Hintzman, but Bill Hintzman. And it says here, starring the original Night of the Living Dead zombie. So this is the graveyard zombie. That's him right here. And this is the Blu-ray DVD edition. And I really enjoyed this. He directed it. It's got like his family and friends in it. It's a, it starts with, like, he is in, people find, so they find a coffin. They dig up the coffin. It has chains on it. They take the chains off. He pops up and kills the guys and then starts wandering around. So I don't remember if that is supposed to be before the cemetery scene in Night of the Living Dead, and him wandering around is during this movie, because he does wander around. But it follows the same thing. It's a group of kids on a hayride, which is one of the films. Hayride 2 is one of the ones I talked about in the other video. But they're on like a hayride. It's a small little town, and they slowly, the graveyard zombie here starts killing biting people. They turn into zombies, and then they end up at I think it's a farm, and they have to battle the zombies. I really like this one. I prefer the title Revenge of the Living Dead, just to go along with all the other, Living Dead or Of the Dead titles. But Flesh Eater is fine. It's got some like behind the scenes stuff. It's got it says the soundtrack. I think the DVD, which I also have, might have some different stuff on it. This is from Shriek Show. Yeah, like here, there's Bill Hintzman there as the graveyard zombie. And I think that's his daughter in real life right there, because like his family was in the movie. So here's the DVD. Oh no, here's the DVD. Here's the Blu-ray. That's the animated beginning. That's when the credits are going on. And then this is one of the people that the zombie bites. So they also took for the Night of Living Dead anniversary, they went and added new footage to it, and it's awful because you're supposed to watch that version of Night of Living Dead, that anniversary edition, and then when you're done watching that, then you go watch Children of the Dead because they're connected, and they're both just awful. God, are they awful? They are so bad, but I own them because I'm an idiot and I'm a completionist. So, but this is definitely worth it if you want like a fun zombie movie. It is, slow paced. But it's good. I liked it quite a bit. So check out Flesh Eater. Last time we had a Stephen King, which was Children of the Corn. We have another one. Mike Flanagan is my all-time favorite director. Well, no, sorry, I take that back. Sorry, Michael Bay. Michael Bay is my all-time favorite director. What am I talking about? Mike Flanagan would be my second all-time favorite director. I should probably even just knock out all time because I've had other favorite directors. So Michael Bay is my favorite director, and Mike Flanagan is my second favorite director. There we go. That's probably worded better. So I wanted to add in a Stephen King film, and he's a big Stephen King guy. So I added in Dr. Sleep. And I think people need to give this a second chance. You need to watch the director's cut, which is much longer. And I don't know if it gives the running time here for it, but yeah, theatrical version is 152. Director's cut is 180. So that's minutes. This is the sequel to The Shining, but book-wise, Stephen King's book follows the book for The Shining. But this follows Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. So in the book for The Shining, the Overlook explodes. So in the book, he goes to a vacant area that's been destroyed. In the movie, they had to change it. And it looks, they got Stephen King's permission to do it. So this technically follows the book, the Stanley Kubrick version. I would probably say even a little bit of the miniseries. And it works fine because it's a sequel to the Kubrick movie, more or less. That director's cut helps a lot. Unfortunately, this film bombed in the box office. And that's right when COVID happened. So nobody went to go see it. Who knows? Maybe nobody wanted to go see it. It says the next chapter in The Shining story. I wouldn't mind getting a third movie, and because I like trilogies. But I thought that this was excellent. It also, Ewan McGregor, and it's got Rebecca Ferguson, who I love, who's in the Mission Impossible movies. It's got the director's cut theatrical versions. It's certified fresh, if that means anything to you. But it is I think, a great sequel. Mike Flanagan has done no wrong for me. I had mentioned like Jordan Peele in the last one where I said he was 3 for 3. Mike Flanagan is all for all for me. His movies, his TV shows. For me, he has not made one bad thing. Are things better than others? Yeah, sure. But overall, I think he is a tremendous director. And I really, really like this. So if you do end up watching it, which you should, watch the director's cut because it is a lot better than the theatrical. And one of the reasons why it might have bombed is because the theatrical cut isn't great. It's not that good. It's okay. But that director's cut, that's good. So definitely check out Dr. Sleep. Very underrated, very overlooked, and it's good. I mean, everybody in this is good. Yeah, because you even have like Henry Thomas doing like a really great Jack Nicholson imitation too. Yeah, it's just a good movie. Really good. So I think Mike Flanagan is kind of like the new Frank Darabont. That for a while you had like back kind of in the 80s, it was like Tommy Lee Wallace was doing stuff like It and some of the other movies, Mick Garris, and then and then for a while there, they kind of seemed to change over to some other people, and now it's Mike Flanagan. So and I think that he does the better Stephen King movies. Obviously there's other people directing them, but I think he does the better ones. Now we're getting into the DVDs. Like the last batch, I'm a little biased on this one because I know the filmmaker, but I'm putting it in here because I didn't know the filmmaker when I had originally seen this, and I really liked it. It is part of the Amityville franchise, and when I saw it, I really liked it. And then I became friends with the director, and told him that, and he really appreciated that, and we've been friends ever since. The director is John R. Walker, and he is the most successful and most famous movie extra in the UK. He's written a whole bunch of books too that you can get on Amazon. He made the Amityville Theater. Now, this is the American version. He brought me, when he came out to visit, the Amityville Playhouse, because that's what it's called in the UK. I really liked this movie. And I think out of all the Amityville films, this would definitely be on like the top of my list. He even sent me, there is a theater, so it's not lying. There is a theater in here, and it's all abandoned. And on the walls, there are these posters. And I told him, I said, man, I would love to get one of these posters that you have up there for this band that was in, I want to say Amityville 1992. It's About Time. The guy's wearing the shirt. I'm blanking on the name of the band, but and he got me a poster, like the actual size of the poster, shipped it over, and I have it on my wall. It's right next to all my Amityville films. I also got 3 or 4 props from here, so I have those displayed too. So John's a great guy. He is really a great guy, and like I said, I liked this before I even knew him. So out of the Amityville movies, I recommend this one. There's a lot of them that I could recommend, but I just wanted to give John a shout out and tell people, definitely check out Amityville Theater because it's a good movie. I liked it. Oh, he even signed it for me. A John R. Walker film, and then he signed it right there. That's right. I had him sign it. One of the things that I do like about this film is that it's not the house, it's the area. It's like the town. is possessed. It's like the town's got the demons. The town is evil. The town is, so it's not just one location where a lot of them is it's the house itself, or it could be a cursed object. No, in this case, it's the town itself. So definitely check this out. I mean, I know there's like 10,000 Amityville movies out there. I mean, I'll probably make one at some point myself, but this is one that's definitely worth watching. Amityville Theater. Okay. Here we have a film that is a total mess, an absolute mess. And I believe the director disowns it. He wanted to use the Alan Smithy directing title. They would not let him. So he got stuck with his name listed as director. For the most part, I like all of these movies. I'm a big fan of the first one. The second one's okay. No, I like the first one a lot. I think the first one is great. The third one is okay. I didn't care for the remake so much because it just didn't really add anything new. But the second one is interesting to watch because of its history, and it's a mess. The studio took it away from the director, who is Ty West, and re-edited the whole movie. So that would be Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever. This is the unrated version. And I enjoyed it because it is a mess. I like the idea that the contaminated water is now in this town, and it's affecting this high school. And it's during, I think it's during prom. And I enjoyed it, but it's a mess. So, and the first Cabin Fever film, I absolutely love. It's Night of Living Dead with a virus. I love it, especially that ending. And you know, where in Night of Living Dead, our main character is silently going through the house, looking out the window, and he gets shot in the head because the posse thinks that he's a zombie. In the original film, the guy pops out of like a little shack. I made it. I survived. And then he gets shot in the head and falls down. So I think it's really good. I like this box too. So I'm recommending this if you like the Cabin Fever movies and you haven't seen this one yet, or if you want to kind of rediscover, check this one out. It's not as bad as everybody says. I would probably rather watch this over part 3 and the remake, to be honest. But it's, yes, Ty West is also one of the writers, director. But yeah, it's a mess. But I liked it. It says here, this is Evil Dead 2, fueled by raging teenage hormones. Yeah, there is a making of, and I don't know if Ty West is in the making of it all. Maybe if they shot footage of him on set, then they probably used it. But yeah, I don't think this is as bad as everybody says. So, give it a second shot if you didn't like it, or if you decide to have a marathon, just know going in that it is a mess. But it's an enjoyable mess. It's very bloody, very bloody. This one, everybody hates. And kind of like Cabin Fever 2, which I forgot to say its subtitle, Cabin Fever 2 Spring Fever. That subtitle is good. That's a good subtitle for the movie, Spring Fever. So love the first one and saw it in the theater a bunch of times. Also saw the documentaries, and at one time it was like one of the highest grossing, if not the highest grossing independent film ever made. And then they came out with a sequel that bombed. Everybody hated it. I hated it when I first saw it until I found out more about it. So that would be Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. So the thing with this is, and I don't think they added to here. No. So this is the DVD and CD. What Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2 is. This is a movie about what happened to the group of people who went on the Blair Witch tour and all died. Has this little booklet here. And it does come with the soundtrack. Right. One side's the movie, one side's the soundtrack. Hence, oh, it's got a plus. DVD plus CD. So, okay, so to get back, when Sci-Fi Channel was kind of like a different type of channel, and you had to subscribe to it, and nobody had it. It was like way up there in the channel listing back in the day. They brought out a documentary that was called Book of Shadows. That Book of Shadows was a fake documentary about the real murders that happened to the people who went out on this tour. And like they would interview the relatives and friends and people in the area. So basically that documentary was like the original Blair Witch. It was a documentary film. This is the movie that is based on the original people who, this is all fake, that went out and were killed. So these are Hollywood actors in a docudrama about those people being killed. The script is called Book of Shadows. I don't know why this wasn't more well known, because, and the documentary isn't even on here. I do believe you can find all the documentaries, including this one, on YouTube. I think I found them all except for maybe one, but I'm pretty sure this one is on there. I think it's just called like I mean, it might, yeah, I think it's just called Blair Witch Book of Shadows is the documentary if you're interested. It's like an hour long. Once I saw this documentary, and I've seen it a couple times, all of a sudden I rewatched this movie and I liked it. Realizing what it is that, like I said, this is a docudrama based on the script that the guy who allegedly killed the people on the tour wrote. So it sounds complicated. It kind of is. But knowing this, I enjoyed this a lot more. And I think that everybody should give this a second chance. They need to re-release this and add that documentary on and let people know, watch this documentary first and then watch this. And then you'll understand it more. This, when it came out, just looked like it was a straightforward Hollywood movie that was a sequel, and it bombed. So I think definitely check this out. If you can find that documentary on YouTube, I think you'll like it a lot more. We have here, I like the original better. I would have liked to have seen a third. And that's Vacancy. So I enjoyed Vacancy. Kind of made me look around when I went into like a motel, like, are the cameras here? Like, where would they be? So maybe it's kind of like Jaws, but in motels, you know. But this is Vacancy 2, the first cut. And I haven't thought about this movie in a long time. Philip Tricky, OGP, somehow we had mentioned, somehow Vacancy was brought up. And he's like, oh, have you seen the sequel to that? And I said, yeah, I have. And he's like, oh, those are good movies. Both of those are good films. So I hadn't thought of this in a long time. This is a prequel. It's the first cut, which is the first motel that they get the idea to start recording people and killing them and selling the footage. It's a smaller movie. It does have a character, and I believe it's played by the same actor that's in Vacancy, is also in this. It's this guy here with the hood over his head. He kind of looks like the Town That Dreaded Sundown killer. But yeah, a group of friends, and I think a lot of these people are the same that made Vacancy. So I liked that too. But it's, yeah, the group of friends ends up at this motel and they're getting murdered one by one. People around them are getting murdered one by one. And they're installing these cameras to do these snuff recordings, and they have to fight back. And this is the prequel to Vacancy. So I would like to actually, I wouldn't mind seeing a part 3. And then you could watch this first, then Vacancy, and then part 3, and make that a sequel to Vacancy. So it reminds me also a lot of The Strangers. And right now, what we have originally, you know, the 2 Strangers movies, and now we got chapter 1, and then chapter 2 comes out soon, and then there's a chapter 3. So there's going to be a lot more The Strangers movies than Vacancy. So I don't know, maybe somebody should hop on doing another Vacancy film, and see what happens. Because if those are making money, Vacancy may make money too. So yeah, I would. This is not bad. This, I think that you definitely need to. I think you should watch the original first and then this. So even though this is a prequel. Okay, this one I actually like better than the original. Well, the original is a remake. The original was done in the 50s with Vincent Price, House on Haunted Hill. William Castle's company, Dark Castle, then remade it, House on Haunted Hill. And then I guess that did well enough. Warner Brothers started a division called Warner Brothers Premiere. And they did a ton of animated stuff, Superman, Batman, Turtles, all that stuff. But they did a few movies, like a few sequels. And this is one of them. And I actually like this better than the original. And this is Return to the House on Haunted Hill. The Blu-ray is really cool. You could pick a bunch of different endings. You could, I mean, there's a whole bunch of interactive stuff that you could do with the disc. This isn't. It's just one movie. But the Blu-ray, you could actually make, like, I guess, like a couple different films with it. And like I said, it's Warner Brothers Premiere. They're out of business. They've been gone for a long time. This is unrated. I really enjoyed this sequel. I have always, and now I just think it's too long and nobody would care. But I always wanted to make, if this is Return to House on Haunted Hill, I wanted to do Revenge of House on Haunted Hill and go back to it, because I've mentioned in a couple other videos that I like aftermath movies. So like I like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 more than his Halloween. I like Terrifier 3 not better than Terrifier 2, but I like the aftermath stuff in Terrifier 3. I like that everybody is fucked up. And this does that same thing. They go back to the house. It's all messed up from the first movie. And they kind of go through the whole thing again. But I really enjoyed it. So I think this is definitely, you know, one to check out. And I guess they give you enough info to where you don't have to see the first film, but it's always good to watch the first movie just in case. This next one here, I think I do like the sequel better than the first one. So unfortunately, we were going to get a part 3, and the director died. Sadly, he died. So that never happened. So we have a part 1 and a part 2. And I love both of these. I would put these right up there with Rust, the Joe Lujan series Rust that I worked on. I mentioned it in the previous video. There's a couple series that I kind of put all of these type of killers into. And this is Chrome Skull Laid to Rest 2. It's directed by, Robert Hall, RIP. And I really like both of these movies. I like these a lot. And if I remember correctly, I do like the sequel better than the first one. Really would have been nice to have part 3. I don't know if, his family would want, to somebody else take over the mantle, which is probably why they never did a part 3. But the Chrome Skull movies, or Laid to Rest movies, they're really good. They're very bloody. They're really good. They're definitely worth checking out. So yeah. So Chrome Skull, Laid to Rest 2. It's got like Thomas Dekker, Brian Austin Green, Daniel Harris. This is the unrated director's cut. There's audio commentary and a bunch of different stuff on this. Yeah, it's unrated. This motion picture previously was released in a version rated R for strong, bloody violence, language, and some nudity. This unrated version contains material different from the original R-rated version. Nice. So, yeah. That is... I love both those movies. Now, the last one here, which I mentioned, I figured, what the hell? I'm going to do this. Why not? I mentioned this in the last video, and I am going to do a Christmas video. And I'm going to add in 2 movies to there. And there are going to be 2 movies that I made. So I decided to add in a movie here that I made. So why not? It's a sequel. And that is Meat Hook Massacre 4. This is from Wild Eye Releasing. And I wrote, directed, and produced it. I created this character here. This is Ruth. And it's got a lot of people that I have worked with before. I was lucky enough to work with Brink Stevens. She came out for a couple days. And so, like, Drew Marvick is in it. He plays the Prophet. We got Mindy Gilkerson. We got Mark Justice. We got Lindsay Cruz, who I mentioned before. Mikey Anthony O'Brien. Then we have Adriana Garzbizzo. I'm sorry if I pronounced your last name on Garbizzo. Yeah, Garbizzo. Sorry. But that's her right there as Ruth. She created, this is my character that I created. So she brought that to life. You also have Julianne Prescott, Scott Tepperman, and John R. Walker, who I mentioned earlier. So, yeah, I wrote the film. The person who was listed on here as my co-writer, no, sorry, no, it is not written by both of us. No, no, it was not. This is unrated, warning, extreme content, not recommended for ages 18 plus. So this was my first feature film, and it's nice that it got released. Wild Eye, Wild and Extreme, unrated, Meat Hook Massacre 4. We got some guts all hanging out here. It's got that nice see-through, box. So there we go. So if you're interested in something that I made that I've called, now I'm not saying these films are as good, not at all, but just as a comparison, as far as how they were made, I would say AXEMAS 1 and 2 would be like Godfather 1 and 2, where I think the second one is better than the first one. And then Meat Hook Massacre 4 would be My Apocalypse Now, as far as a film that almost gave me a nervous breakdown making. I thought of doing an audio commentary, and it has been recommended by some people not to. I don't think I would say that many good things. I would have to fake it. So, but if it's available somewhere, you could stream it. I'm not going to say where, because I have not made a dime off of this movie, but when I was supposed to. But it's worth watching if you enjoy this also falls into ripoff category too, because this is a ripoff just on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I do like the poster. I mean, it's kind of supposed to be her, but it's not. But it's yeah, you know, check it out if you might like it. So it's got some good stuff in it. It's all shot out here in Vegas and Pahrump. So Tom Devlin said that he thinks it's the best thing I've made. So thank you, Tom. And it is on Blu-ray as part of the Meat Hook Massacre box set. So it is out there as DVD and Blu-ray. So all right, that's all of them. That's 15. So let's do a quick recap. So we got, you know, Meat Hook Massacre 4. We got Chrome Skull Laid to Rest 2. We got Return to House on Haunted Hill. Vacancy 2, the first cut. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Cabin Fever 2, Spring Break. The Amityville Theater. Dr. Sleep. Flesh Eater. The Gallows, Act 2. The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Hellraiser Judgment. Grizzly 2, Revenge. Nosferatu, the Vampire. And Piranha 2, The Spawning. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Just like the other one, let me know if you like any of these, if you have any suggestions for sequels or remakes or ripoffs or anything, throw them down below. And yeah, because I'd be curious. Maybe I haven't seen some of this stuff, or I'll do you know, another video at some point with stuff that's recommended. But yeah. So that's it. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it. And I will see you on the next video. All right.